Hi everybody and welcome to my Unruly Housewife channel. I'm going to try and do a really quick tutorial for you today, and it's how to decorate the lids of tins like these Vaseline Intensive Lip Therapy or whatever they're called. Tins here, I've made lids for them, decorated the lids with polymer clay, and what I've tried to do match the clay a little bit to the bottom so that it sort of fits in. But of course, once this tin is empty, the lid can be transferred and used on another jar. Now the jar I'm using today is green, and I've got this old abandoned lid to put on it, which I didn't think came out deep enough. So here's the lid that I want to decorate. And what I've done is I've mixed some colour to be very similar, and I have rolled it out on number 2 on my pasta machine, which if you don't have a pasta machine, you can roll your clay out 3 layers of cardboard cereal packet either side and use your rolling pin on that, and you'll get pretty much the same thickness. Conditioned it really well before I started, so it's nice and soft and flexible. So I've put it through a pasta machine on number 2, I've got my lid, and what I'm going to do is just apply it immediately to the lid. I'm not going to use any liquid clay, I'm not going to mess around. I find personally that it's better to just put it straight on. Now my hands could be a little cleaner, everything could be a little cleaner in here today. But I push it on, and I used a cutter. I've got Cake Boss, nearly forgot to mention, Cake Boss cutters. It's worth investing in a good set of sizes for circular cutters. You get so much value out of these. And this was just the perfect size. You want it to be a little bit bigger than the actual lid so that you've got something to put around the sides. So I cut it out. I mean, if you really don't have one, you could probably cut around a jar lid or something. But it's got to be a little bit bigger than that, like this obviously. You start from the centre and you push outwards with your fingers, and trying to make sure that there are no air bubbles. Now these lids are particularly frustrating because they have like a little recess in them which encourages bubbles. But what are you going to do? You then go round and bend the clay round the edges. Take it nice and slow. I'm obviously rushing a bit today. Look out for any air bubbles and try and press them out to the sides before you begin. But I'm not terribly fussed if the centre is raised a little. I don't want uneven bumps, but I don't mind a tiny bit of air because it doesn't really matter too much, I don't think. Then if you can try and do this, it helps. Try and fold it down. This clay's got rather dirty. I'd probably give that a bit more of a wipe, but I'm not going to waste your time while I try and react to my own ego. Let's just crack on and pretend it's not as dirty as it looks. Okay, so I'm pressing around the sides and just gradually encouraging this to be where I want it to be. And still looking out for air bubbles. You could always prick them with a needle tool if you do see an air bubble, or cut a little slit with a knife. But if you can possibly avoid having to do that, so much the better. And as I say, a little bit of chubbiness in here isn't going to be too much of a nightmare. Now we've got to the point where we've reached the edges. Now you probably think I'm a bit mad not using any kind of bonding agent to fix this to the lid. I really don't think it's necessary. And you know, if you got an air bubble, it was horrible, you didn't like it and you wanted to pull it off again, when you try and take it off there, you're going to find it's pretty sort of clinging onto the metal. I find that anyway. So we get to this point here, and now you can just go around with your craft knife and run it along the inside. Try not to scratch the tin too much. Run it along and trim the clay to fit your tin, and obviously mind out what angle you've got it at. There you go. It's probably better to have it a bit more upright. Let's try. And now it's a process of just folding in and making yourself comfortable with how it looks. and how it is. And it's like that side looks nice enough to me. This side, this side does not. So carry on like that, trimming until it looks, it was a little bit off center, wasn't it, when I put it on, if you noticed that. So that's why I'm having to do a bit more trimming on this side. And I am trying not to scratch the tin. It seems pretty good now. I'm pretty happy with that. And now I'm going to stamp the top with my chosen design. Now this is going to stretch the clay and we might see some trouble with bubbles, but let's see what happens. I'm using a Lisa Pavelka sheet. They're nice. Oops, they're nice and deep. The texture's nice and deep on them. I was tempted to use my small round, this small round stamp, and I think it would look lovely on there, but I pressed quite hard and it didn't leave a very deep impression, so I'm giving it the full LP today, the full Lisa Pavelka. And this is where the whole thing could go horribly wrong and I'd have to start again. So let's keep our fingers crossed. I'm going to spritz my sheet with some water, because if I don't it will stick. And now I'm going to position it to where I want it, and I kind of want this piece of paisley here. This design is called Paisley, by the way, if you want to buy it, from Lisa Pavelka. I turn it over and I'm just going to press, feel where that tin is, and press and press and press. I'm going to try and make sure that I get a good old press as everywhere on that lid, if I possibly can. Now this is where we're going to find out if we've got any air bubbles, because we're stretching the clay a bit. I wish I could show you more of what I'm doing, but unfortunately this is not a see-through thing. And also what I'm going to do is try and roll it down the sides just a little as well, so that we carry that over the sides. I hope this is all on camera. Look how dirty my texture sheets are. I'm such a scruff. The trouble is, once I pull this off, if I put it back on, it's going to look weird. So, okay, crunch time. Are we ready? Oh, I'm wobbling the camera. Are we ready, everybody? Crunch time. Can I get... Oh, look at that. Okay, I don't want to be too self-congratulatory, but that is brilliant. I love it. It's come adrift a little bit there, but we can easily fix that back on. Okay, now I'm officially in love with myself. I've got to just tidy this edge up, but look how nice that's come out. Beautiful. Thank you, Lisa Pavelka. Okay, now this is so deep that I think you just leave it as it is. It would look great. But what we're going to do as well, because we like the overkill, is we're going to do two things. We're going to add a bit of sparkle, and we're going to add some perfect pearls. This is my pickup pencil, and like everything else that we can see today, it's scuzzy. And I'm going to pick up my little jewel, and it fits perfectly in there. If yours doesn't fit perfectly somewhere, you can use a tool or something. This would be good, or the end of the smallest size cane bender that Teresa Pandora Salgado sells. I always use the end of that, which is cane benders are little rods that help you to make canes. Anyway, you can push that in there. That looks cute. And then when I've finished making it, I will pop it out and pop a little bit of super glue in there. I use Polybonder, actually. A bit more Lisa Pavelka. I look like I'm working for her today, don't I? I'm putting that in now because I'm going to put some powder on, and I don't want to try and adhere this to the powder. I want to adhere it straight to the clay because it makes a stronger bond, if that makes any sense to you. Here's my gold, and there's a hair there. I'm going to try and take that off just with this. You see, the trouble is when you put powders on, you can't then go pop around and there you go. You can't go around later and sand it, which is what I would do. So you've got to make sure it's ready before you add the powder. And you see now that powder can't get underneath that little stone. So long as you use glass, that's a Swarovski crystal, as long as you use glass, that can go in the oven. Nothing's going to happen to it, nothing bad. And I've just picked out the details there with the gold. I'm not going to mess around anymore. Oh yes I am. I want to get some on there. Just it's always fun to watch while I argue with myself. Okay, I'm not going to faff around with that anymore. In real life I would spend ages messing around with it. We've got that on there now. We're going to tuck this a little bit tight around the sides, make it neat, but really that's come out so well. I can put that straight in the oven. I will bake it according to the manufacturer's instructions, and obviously do not bake it on the tin. That would be a disaster. You'd melt your lip therapy, but I'll just show you what it looks like. Let's get that on there straight. You see, it looks so pretty. Not a bad match for the colour. Let's take that off again. So yeah, don't melt your Vaseline lip stuff. Tidy that up, remember. And when it's all baked and all finished, sorry, you can use some sort of varnish. I use Duraclear gloss varnish on there, and that will hold that powder in place. So, gosh, that was quite easy. I hope you enjoyed that, and if you don't want to push a texture into it, you can bake it as it is, just, you know, before putting the texture in, when it's just flat, and then add some little coils of clay on the top, perhaps with some liquid Fimo or some TLS, something like that. And you could add those little coils, and then I put powder on, and I've got a little star shape on there. So that's another alternative. And just actually, before I finish, this isn't a tin, obviously it's a dish, but you can, I have in the past, used a very small blend of lots of little bits of colour and made my lid out of that, and then applied things like beads and bits of slices of cane. So you could do that and make a picture on top of there, or have it blended. Alright, I'm going to stop adding up new ideas. I'm adding on new ideas now. I hope you enjoyed that. Please subscribe to my channel, and if you do subscribe, look out for the little bell symbol and click on that. That means you'll get told every time I upload, because YouTube are being a little bit lax about telling people these days. And any questions, any comments, leave them down below. I hope that was fun. I love you. I want to see you another time. Bye!